Yeah, Mazel Tov and all that good stuff, man. It's for all my folks who got legal jobs. You beat the odds, you feel me?
We ain't supposed to be here, never thought we'd see it. Now we living proof, tell the world to believe it. Congratulations, thank God we made it. They told us we was nothing, now I know they hate it. Round up applause, round up applause. Congratulations, we beat the odds. Round up applause, round up applause. I ain't supposed to be nothing but a dope dealer, but I hope killer. Supposed to brag on the guns and the coke kilos, dropping mollies in a coke zero. Ashamed of my education, that I'm finally off probation, that I quit smoking, got a wife and kids, and I'm a real father, no faking. See, I'm a black man who beat them odds. Supposed to be locked up with no job. Never should've went to college or learned who God is. You added up, it's all odds. See, I never knew my pops. I've been abused, ran from the cops.
Everybody stand up real quick. All right. Now, what were the phrases that I wanted y'all to remember from last week?
History is present.
Okay. Now, what do you say before that? BHMC.
Black Excellence Challenge.
Mm-hmm. And then what?
History is present within me.
So what is this?
BHMC. Black History Challenge.
Why is it important?
Because history is present within me.
Copy. Wonderful. Now have a seat. Check this out.
Congratulations, we beat the odds. Round up applause, round up applause. Congratulations, we beat the odds.
Now she used to strip at Onyx, working her way through college, trying to put food in her son's mouth, on the pole for them dollars. She was looking for some solace. Told the Lord, I promise, I'm headed to the hills with my heels on, where the fields ain't attached to the billfolds. No cotton fields from no Uncle Phil, just Phil Jackson, coach her, and get her out that game where they losing their dignity for a coach first. No skirts, just skirt. Found another way around the road work, and left that fine establishment. It's like our whole life is having a growth spurt. She out the game and they hate it. Mad at her, she made it.
Again, I know I see some first time guys, so at least this year. Again, I want to thank Mr. Ramos because he's the person that was able to bring me here. And again, you guys have something that's amazing here. You have something that's great. I didn't have anything like this when I was growing up, and I definitely needed it for the type of student that I was. So you guys do have a really good opportunity here, and I appreciate that. I always appreciate being here, what you guys been able to share. So just one more time for the staff and the students, leaders, and Mr. Ramos. Okay, so today we're going to run through a few things because it is the last day for African History Month. So we have some food, we have some gifts, some raffles. I know we want to get to that. But before we go any further, do you remember last week's theme? Black Excellence? Black Excellence? Okay, so what I wanted to do today was go over a few more of the distractions because again, I'm not going to see you guys as frequently anymore. So we all pretty much harnessed what Black Excellence was. All you guys filled out individual cards, group cards the week prior, and expressed your ideas and how to work as a community. But we didn't really go into distractions except for that one commercial. Who remembers that commercial?
Yeah.
Yo.
It was like that Migos and the Mountain Dew commercial.
Copy. That was it.
It's like our whole life is having a growth spurt. She out the game and they hate it. Mad at her, she made it. Haters ain't nothing but some shellfish in a bucket. Probably get crabs if you touch it. Now she graduated from college. Scratch that, graduated with honors. Little man got a little cap and gown. Looked at him, matching his mama. Yeah.
We ain't supposed to be.
Round of applause to all the ladies out there who didn't let anybody tell them what they could or couldn't be. And they kept their dignity while doing it. Congratulations.
Today, we're going to talk about from the neck up. We're going to talk about from the neck up. So, obviously, from the neck up is what? Your head, brain, okay? What's up? ears, key, eyes. Those are what you take things in with, right? You take things in with your ears, your eyes, your nose, your mouth. Most of the things that you take things in with are up here above your head. The most important part, your head, everything up. Everything below, normally you give things out with. That's whatever it is, it comes out. But everything up here, you listen, you hear, you learn, you observe, you smell. Funny fact, what I was able actually to excel on was anatomy and physiology. So up here is called your olfactory. Some of you guys probably know what that is, olfactory. What's the olfactory? Somebody raise their hand. It's your smell, but it's more advanced. It's all the senses. Like, what do you got?
It's their like memory-based.
Got you. So it's where everything is stored at. So whatever you taste, the olfactory remembers what it tastes like, and then you get that taste. Oh, it's cotton candy, or it's burgers, or whatever it is. But we'll see what this all means real quick. So, are the flyers? Are those done yet, downstairs? Okay, cool, appreciate it. So once he comes back, we're gonna go over it. So, we're gonna watch this quick video for the first time, right? And then you guys can let me know what you feel, some things that you feel about it. And then when he gets the papers back, we'll distribute the paper and write 1 or 2 things down about it.
I'll take the affirmative.
Listen up.
Take the meanest, most restless nigger. Strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male niggers, female niggers, and nigger infants. Tar and feather him. Tie each leg to a horse facing in opposite direction, set him on fire, and beat both horses until they tear him apart. In front of the male, female, and nigger infants. Bullwhip and beat the remaining nigger males within an inch of their life. Do not kill them, but put the fear of God in them, for they can be useful for future breeding. Anybody know who Willie Lynch was? Anybody? Raise your hand. No one? He was a vicious slave owner in the West Indies. The slave masters in the colony of Virginia were having trouble controlling their slaves, so they sent for Mr. Lynch to teach them his methods. The word lynching came from his last name. His methods were very simple, but they were diabolical. Keep the slave physically strong, but psychologically weak and dependent on the slave master. Keep the body, take the mind. I and any other professor on this campus are here to help you to find, take back, and keep your righteous mind. Because obviously you have lost it.
All right, so that's the first time to write down whatever notes. Obviously it's only a minute, 36 seconds long, so we'll play that one more time.
I'll take the affirmative. Take the meanest, most restless nigger. Strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male niggers, female niggers, and nigger infants. Tar and feather him. Tie each leg to a horse facing in opposite direction, set him on fire, and beat both horses until they tear him apart. In front of the male, female, and nigger infants. Bullwhip and beat the remaining nigger males within an inch of their life. Do not kill them, but put the fear of God in them, for they can be useful for future breeding. Anybody know who Willie Lynch was? Anybody? Raise your hand. No one? He was a vicious slave owner in the West Indies. The slave masters in the colony of Virginia were having trouble controlling their slaves, so they sent for Mr. Lynch to teach them his methods. The word lynching came from his last name. His methods were very simple, but they were diabolical. Keep the slave physically strong, but psychologically weak and dependent on the slave master. Keep the body, take the mind. I and any other professor on this campus are here to help you to find, take back, and keep your righteous mind. Because obviously you have lost it.
Okay. So, anybody have any feelings about that? Raise your hand. You have, what's that?
Well, the way I saw it, like, the way he explained, like, what would happen to the slaves, there were, like, many other things that happened to slaves, but I think he used, like, the most, like, disturbing way to, like, show, I don't know, just kind of, like, make them think about it more.
Okay. So real quick, just for a little backstory on that. So what happened also in that triangle trade, they like to call it now, they call it the triangle trade, because they like to take the word slave out of it because it makes it a lot more palatable and easier for students and people to say it and understand what went on. They call it the triangle trade. That's what they say in Board of Ed now. Reality, it was a slave trade because that's what they were trading, slaves, which was a commodity. So what happened was, everybody know where Virginia is? Yeah. Virginia? So in the West Indies, that's where a lot of the slave trade started. Remember, Christopher Columbus went there first, right? And as we all know, there were people of color, Africans here in America before Columbus even got here. But when he went to the West Indies, what is the West Indies known for? What kind of harvests? Anybody know? Sugar. What else? Cotton, tobacco. Basically, anything you need to make tropically, you can do out there. So when they went there, that's when they started the early plantations. And then when they were tamed, they could bring them in to the Americas. So you went there, they tamed you, brought you into Americas. Now sometimes you would get a slave ship that came right to VA. And these people, these Africans, we right off the boat. Some of them jumped off because they had too much pride to be put under anybody's subjection. And some of them were beat to the point that, and they got there and they were healthy and they stayed with their families until they got separated in Virginia. But the people in Virginia from Africa, they still got, they got a spine in them. So they're not trying to listen to anybody. They didn't go to the West Indies and get broken down by the, obviously, the other masters that were there prior to the slave masters in America. So what would happen is they would need somebody to come and say, oh, who's having a really good outcome with containing these slaves? And Willie Lynch. He said, hey, listen, I'm doing good with mine out here. This is a list of things that you should do. A way to get into their head. A way to show them that you're superior. Because by stature they weren't. By numbers they weren't. So they had to show by ridiculous amounts of evil and violence. If we can get into your head and show you that this is what's going to happen, then people will become more subject. They'll actually die down a little bit. So that was the backstory to why that letter was taken. Some people say it wasn't true. Some people say it is true. But why that letter was so significant is because it shows how to get into your mind. So real quick, before we go in, you know what, write the questions down. If you got the questions in front of you, write down your answer to those questions. Write down the answer to those questions, if you haven't already.
While you guys are doing that, any more attendance sheets floating around? I have 2. Any more attendance sheets, just make sure I get it.
Wow. Even though.
Did everybody get 2 sheets? Everybody got 2 sheets? Is Justin Scott here? No Justin Scott, right?
Let me know when you guys are done. Another 4 minutes, then we're going to go into the questions, all right? Thank you, sir.
Gee, we got any more of those sheets? I think they just took 1. Where they at? Right there?
Sir. Oh, woo, you good, bro? Thank you. Listen, hold on to that. Hold on to that. All right, so we're gonna start out, okay? We're gonna use our discs, and obviously whoever's at your table or in your group, you'll get a ticket for the win. All right? So does everybody have a disc in front of them or close to them? So just kind of circle around that disc, or
We got another disc?
okay, you guys ready? All right, guys. Question number one. Okay. No problem.
Who's gonna do this here? Jeez. Y'all three? Jump in here. Slide on down some. Make some room. Slide down. Get to know each other. Just jump in here with that. Up on this body chair, move. Slide in, man. You gotta get in.
Okay, guys, real quick, before we start the questions, just so we remember what we're trying to do here. All right, let's just recite our rules. Number one, respect your brother.
Respect your brother.
Respect your instructor.
Respect your instructor.
Respect the information.
Respect the information.
And enjoy the history of our people.
Enjoy the history of our people.
Okay. So, question number one. Does everybody have yellow in front of them? Okay. What was Willie Lynch's?
All right, let him finish the question.
What's the answer?
Yeah, he was a vicious slave. Gets to them a little late, so the guy in the front is gonna get it first.
Got you. Yes, which one, sir?
Is it gonna be one?
No, like I said, that.
So, do y'all understand that it's not going to take that long for sound to get to the back of the room?
All right, question number two.
We gotta wait for the whole thing.
All right, wait for the whole thing.
You buzzing early, you out. Buzzing early, you out.
What colonies had trouble controlling their slaves?
Virginia.
Correct.
I better get close to it. Virginia. Answer was Virginia. Answer was Virginia.
Question number three. What did they need from him?
We can't hear you. You gotta say it again. Speak up.
Say it again. The first one was right. Control. That's correct.
Okay, Chase. Future, baby. Future, baby.
One for junior high football.
Okay. What's that, number 4 now?
Yeah.
This is in regards to Willie Lynch. In regards to Willie Lynch. Okay? Okay, a little, yeah, take it, just, okay, just a little bit. 3 inches away from the disc. 3 inches. Oh, yeah? All right, reset. Everybody yellow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give him a chair.
In regards to Willie Lynch, where was he located? Okay. No, now you got the question in front of you, so there's no reason you should hit it before I finish. All right? Okay. In regards to Willie Lynch, where was he located? There's no way I got that. Last question.
It's already. Guys in the back can't hear if you guys are talking.
All right.
Wait, you gotta reset it.
Stack your ticks. Stack your ticks.
I'm just reminders, bro.
You got yellow? What was the philosophy of the Willie Lynch letter?
To take the mind and keep the body.
Correct.
He said take the mind and keep the body. What about keep the... All right. No way. Yeah. That's crazy.
Alright, listen up, guys. So, now I kind of want to hear what y'all got to say on this. I want to hear y'all's opinion. So, this is way back. This is way back. Right now, 2019, how do you think society is trying to take your mind? In the back, brother. What's your name, sir? Alekwa.
Stand up. In today's day, concerning black people and certain societies, they try to do gentrification, redlining. They try to increase our taxes in order to keep us out of elite societies. So say if a wealthy African American man wants to buy a nice property and say an upclass society or uptown, community, they'll increase his income taxes. They'll try to find a way to kick him out. Or if we have black businesses, they try to bring us down the minute it opens, try to draw us to other things and bring us attention to things that aren't relevant.
That's good answer.
When anything happens concerning a black man, they try to immediately destroy his name, and if they can get our own people to go against him, then it's easier to bring him down. So that's how they try to manipulate us as of right now.
Okay. Yes, sir. Number clock. You. All right? The question is, how in today's society are they trying to take your mind? Question. I'm sorry. Answer.
In my opinion, one of the ways they do it, especially nowadays, is through our education system. The way our history curriculum is built is very Eurocentric. There's an AP World History, which focuses primarily on Europe. There's AP Euro History. There's AP US History. It's all very, in my words, AP White History. There's no AP Afro history. There's nothing that really touches on our cultures, the cultures of colored people in general. And in my opinion, that's a very flawed system, because every day we learn about Europe this, Europe that. Christopher Columbus did this. There's a white inventor that did this. A lot of people, even if you ask people in this room, we don't know many black inventors. We don't know many black doctors. So stuff like that. We're definitely brainwashed to learn that white people made all of this and white people did all of that. But when in reality, it's really not like that.
Copy. Good answer.
Another method in which like society tries to take control of African American minds through media, like the example you put last week with the Mountain Dew commercial. They tried to display images of African Americans can only be rappers or basketball players instead of people, like you said, people who are good with their hands, like construction workers, doctors, stuff like that. So they try to put images in African Americans' minds to keep them down, instead of branching out to do bigger and better things.
Very good answer. Okay. Jerome first.
I was basically going to say,
I was essentially going to say that, a lot of my friends covered it, but social media is, I think, the biggest thing. When you see a rich black man,
he only raps or he dribbles basketballs. I feel like we're not like I don't know. Our image is defaced basically. Like we're not held up to a higher standard. You go on social media, you see tons of white people achieving this, that, the third. You don't really. It's not highlighted basically. Our achievements are highlighted.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So I feel like in today's society, we're kind of like a lot of African Americans are kind of forced in places to live, and so in these communities, you see violent acts happen, and like when a young child sees it, it's like an imprint on their mind. And I feel like with a lot of young children, they think certain things are cool, and so like I guess when drugs are being sold or like everybody's stealing chains and things like that, they see other people doing it in the same community, and I feel like that's a form of mind control nowadays.
Sir. Now, my brothers in the back, real quick. Question, everybody back here. How do you think, what everybody just said, right, is adequate. What everybody just said is legit. But let's take another layer off. How do you think it's delivered? How was it delivered to you, or your boys, or your culture, your family? How was it delivered? I'll come back to you. Sir. Sit up.
Stand up.
We can't hear you, man.
Like, y'all can hear me.
No, I hear you.
I think the messaging is delivered through media and subliminal messaging. I think everything we watch has its own little messages, and there's a certain way that we see shows and things like that. What? Me? Oh yeah. So the subliminal messaging, I think is a big part of it. I think everything we watch too, because whenever we watch something, it always has like side messages and how black people are portrayed on television, along with how black people are seen in society. And many people don't really like. They still try to keep us down even after all this time and after all we've accomplished. They still hide the stuff that we've done in like history. So I think that's important, and I think something we watch.
Great, good answer. You might gotta come back here. You might gotta come back here, man. Some more answers are at. Okay, let's see, I got two more questions in regards to this. How was it delivered? If somebody can just give me three methods of delivery. Because you said, okay, there's three methods.
Even though,
stand up.
Even though I spoke already, there's a broad type of, system that they use. I was actually kind of thinking that in our society, a lot of black men are incarcerated, and they fall into a system, a never-ending system that just downgrades our people completely. So once they go into prison, they're considered a felon. They lose all their rights to vote, rights to government aid, government assistance, everything from food stamps to welfare. And after that, when they're trying to get employed, you can't get a job because your employer will think of you as a criminal. You can't trust them, and then you're falling into a trap where, in order to provide for your family or provide for yourself, you have to do drugs or sell this or do that, things that are illegal, or you just have to do something that is just inhumane in order to get money to stay alive in this harsh community and harsh society. So that's one method that I think is a way to keep our people down.
Okay. All right, that's it. You got a lot on your chest. You got a lot on your chest, man. I like that. Anybody else have, I said, okay, another method.
My method is more psychological, but it's broad in the sense that how it's administered, whether it be social media, school system, like you said, or just anything out there. Like, we're taught self-hate, especially towards our black women. And we're taught to, we're taught to compartmentalize our feelings towards black women and then minimize the problem that's actually out there. Like, I'll give you certain scenarios, like even football players. When football players beat on a woman, we all look at them and say, all right, well, she was probably bugging or she wasn't doing the right thing. And then we forget what that man actually did, and then we accept him because he benefits us. Like, he'd be on our favorite team, or he'd be our favorite player. Or if it's a rapper, it's the same thing. Oh, we like his music. Or even R. Kelly, too. Well, we like his singing, we like his music, so we don't care what he did. and then we forget that he's hurting our people. And then we say, oh, well, the government doesn't want our black men to succeed. That's not the case in all scenarios, but in certain scenarios it is. But in those cases, that's not the fact. And the fact is that we're taught self-hate. And if we have love for each other, that'd be a completely different outcome. But I feel like psychologically, like you said, they take away our mind and our body.
Yes, sir. Now, last question is, what age do y'all think that this starts? Let me see if I got some new. I haven't heard from you yet, sir. Just give me an age. What do you think? And you can stand up, sir.
Like probably at like 5 years old. Basically, when you start understanding words.
Okay. You said 5. What do you say, sir? Stand up if you don't mind.
I think that it starts when you're like a teenager, because teenagers are the most, even though like when you're young, like you get the message, but you don't truly understand it. But when you're a teenager, you're just as impressionable as when you're younger, but you start to understand it more. So you start to be able to like digest it better and think like that's the right way.
Okay. Sir?
Using advertising as an example of mind control or influence, I'd say that it would start from birth. Because like even though you don't have any influence on yourself at that time, your parents are exposed to advertising, and then they can see something about how to treat their baby or their child, and then they can push you towards that stance in life, and then over time you'll start to develop that feeling yourself.
Sir. Sir. I'm gonna go to this gentleman, then I'm gonna go back to you two. Yes, sir?
I think it starts around like first grade when you start learning about like your history. Because like when you're a baby, all you do is like learn your ABCs and stuff about how to speak. But like when you start going to school and actually learning about history, I think that's when it starts.
Yes, sir. Good answer. Front.
I think that you start to get this psychological, it starts to affect you the second you step into junior high, so that's when you're 12 years old. The second you step into junior high, you start realizing the world around you, you're socially aware now, because before that you were just a kid, you're just taking the information in and it's being fed to you. And I feel like something can't really, like I just don't think something can affect you unless you realize you're being affected.
Okay.
I don't think so, bro.
I believe it starts when you're an infant. Like based on shows, movies that you were watching, I've seen like controversies on videos like Disney having subliminal messages dealing with either the devil and stuff like that. And it just depends on the stuff you watch from a young age to when you get older. So you might not know what you're doing, but be based on subliminals. It doesn't matter.
Correct. Yes, sir. Right.
I would have to agree with Justice in that it starts from birth, mainly because the first people who influence you in your life is your parents. So what they bring into the household and what they expose you to kind of sets the foundation for the rest of your life. And especially since like your personality is kind of set in stone once you're 2, it's very hard to change. A lot of your core beliefs are usually started in the house and within your family. So depending on what they bring in can influence how you have an outlook on life.
Yes, sir. And then.
I definitely agree with what Michael said, that it starts the second you're aware of what your parents are saying and the information they feed you. Because in my opinion, with at least older generations, as much as younger people would like to criticize them and clown them, I feel like older generations are much wiser when it comes to how they deal with, I don't want to say white people as a sweeping term, but white people, because yes, they teach us, we have our own culture, and yes, there are definitely some people who try to emulate our culture and try to use it and abuse it. But I feel like, at least with younger generations, in my opinion, that it's like the same sense of urgency when it comes to teaching your child about their cultures isn't really there. Because especially with a lot of our parents, like at least personally I know, both of my parents are immigrants. They've been teaching me about my culture since the day I was born. But I feel like with a lot of us really aren't as in tune with our cultures. And because of that, the way we might raise our children might be different, and that we're not going to teach our children about where we came from, about how we became who we are, but more about just like our experiences with navigating the world, if that makes sense.
I would have to say that it starts from birth, and I forgot who said it. Someone over there. Was that Jerron? Yeah, Jerron. He said that you can't be influenced or conditioned if you're not aware. In psychology, especially, there's something called blind conditioning. So they condition you from, without you even knowing, just put stuff in your face. You don't even pay attention to it. You're not really aware and whatnot. Even in marketing, Like in movies, they put in like a Pepsi sign or a Coca-Cola sign or an NBA sign. You don't even know you're seeing it, but you're seeing it and it registers. From birth, basically, like even with kids, I'm not sure whose child that is.
That's my little guy right there. Yeah.
So even better. So basically, even with him from birth, kids don't even want colored toys. They want the white toy. They want the white dog. When you look in stores, the stocks, the sales, the colored toys don't really sell out unless it's like mass produced in a sense where it's like a movie, like a Moana toy. Then the people will actually buy it. But other than that, you're not getting it. Even wrestling toys, you don't want the black wrestler, you want the white wrestler because the majority of them are white wrestlers, and the more popular ones, the one getting more exposure and whatnot, and it goes on and on. So I feel like conditioning, you don't have to be aware. It's all just mental.
I want to bring this in real quick. Okay. I didn't see your hand, sir. After you.
I would say it starts at 18 when you really start to feel it, because as growing up, you can feel and see all the stuff they're saying, but once you're 18, you finally step into the real world and you see how that actually affects you. So I would say, like, when you're starting to go to college, when you're starting to apply for college, don't start at 17, 18. That's when you feel.
All right.
Go ahead.
It's more of a comment to. It's more of a comment to what Jaron and Jerron said about how it's much older when they start being affected. I think that you actually start the process when you're at birth, but what I think Jerron and Jaron's point is trying to say is how the way it actually affects you. So you've already developed this from when you're born to when you're getting into the adult stage. You've already developed this mindset developed by your parents or by those that are around you when you're much younger. But then when you get to the age when you're going to college, it's a lot of the things you experience could affect you in the way that you start to question what's happened in the past or what you've been taught by your parents or even those around you. So I think that the process of trying to control your mind starts at birth, but the way that it affects you could be much consequential when you started to realize what's going on around you. So I think that's a better way to
Okay.
things.
You don't have to defend.
I'm
just
saying. He's ready too.
No, he's not even ready. I'm just saying one thing.
I'm saying, go ahead. Like, I feel like there's two sides to it, because, all right, as a person, as a human being, right, there's two phases where you go through rapid growth, or you start to, like, learn development, two phases of intense development. When you're born and when you're a teenager going through puberty. So that's why I said, like, once you enter high school, because I feel like that's the second stage, and I think that's the more important stage. I understand what you guys are saying when you're born from birth up until, like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. And yes, there are things that are influencing you, but I feel like the major part, like the part that matters the most towards your life, is the second stage, like, when you're in high school.
Okay. Well, I got a point. Mark, you brought up something, and you pointed to my child, and it's funny you said that because influence and brainwashing, if you will, more like mind control from what we're talking about with the Willie Lynch letter, control the mind, keep the body. Now, I'm not going religious here because it's school, so I can't go religious, so I'm going to go world history, okay? So, in the Bible, there's a lot of world history. My little guy started drawing and coloring people, like you said, that were in the Bible. And he was coloring everybody pale. I was like, okay. This is like 3 years old. By the way, that's my wife back there. Give a little round of so he started drawing everybody pale. I'm like, all right. Okay, let me take a look at this. So I see the pictures, the stories he's depicting. I said, all right, man, so yo, here's some other colors. And then take this one, this is tan. I'm trying to ease him into it. This is tan, this is brown, this is a little darker. And he's just operating on what he saw in his recall. He goes, no, Dad, I can't use that. I said, why not? He goes, I can only use the pale one. I can only use this one. This is their color. I was like, who told you that? Nobody told him that. It was just what was depicted in the information that he was being given. And at that point, like, I literally just sat there, like, I was kind of in shock, like, he's absorbing all of this to the point where now his subconscious is being fleshed out into what exactly he sees the world as. So at that point, that's when I realized that we had to make some changes and start to actually, as you said, educate your people in of your culture earlier. Because the depictions that he was getting was that everything in the Bible was Eurocentric. When if you know world history, you know that's incorrect. If you know world history, you know where everything happened at, as the stories were portrayed about. But you know, those were colored people, and I can't go too deep into that because this isn't religion, and I'm not allowed to go that far. But you get what I'm saying. The stuff that was being depicted was incorrect, and my son was absorbing it. So that's very true what you're talking about. It starts at a very early age, and it's fleshed out. Now, I want y'all to listen to this real quick, okay? I think that should be center right there. So, you guys, I'm gonna play a song. I want you to write down whatever points that you think are strong. There's a lot of lyrics. But whatever you feel is strong, because a lot of you guys said some of this stuff.
Is it a song I know?
No, you probably don't. I mean, you might, but it's me making an assumption.
What genre of music is it?
Why don't you just wait and listen? You ready? All right. So whatever lyric strikes you as important, write it down so that you can actually let me know how you feel about it in 2 minutes. Okay, you guys ready? All right, here we go.
Listen to me. It's because I talk a lot. Oh my. It's because I talk a lot. Oh my God. I need everybody right now who's tuning in to close your ears and listen with your heart. If you're listening with your ears, you're about to miss something. Listen with your heart. This record is entitled Still the King. It's off my album that's about to drop tomorrow. I wasn't going to play it tonight, but I got to get you know, and I had to do it. Jay-Z, I'm sorry. Yay, I'm sorry. Just back me down. Let's go. Yeah, I know ready or not. Frank Ocean with this record hot. It's not better than Jay. Little talk, rain, no shots. Certain things that shouldn't stay. Stop. Well, the doors gonna be closed. Can't think already. Your mind being soulless. It's climbing to the top. Can't believe you need soulless. It's a very long drop. It's a very long drop. It's a very long drop. Money's gonna come to a halt. There's a new world on the shift, and that was a talk. World leaders of the middle, sun is signing it off. Mom died a couple thousand years ago when he crossed. Has the rainy day, money locked away in the phone. So somebody told me salvation where he go. Christ never came along and said the answer was so. Move mountains with the baby sauce and grains of salt. Look at all these people, take whatever it costs. Take no more, you can't do whatever it costs. Living this so now and then, and I'm the people we lost. They were time before a tragedy that knew that was false. Had a common goodness that you know the way was at fault. And this is my place, we all know the people was lost. 5 years before I ever heard of it cross. This is 1992, that piece of murder results. My homie said this couple told him all the murders he come. The third from all he heard him talk, but it was all that was taught. Story still and show us love after all we had done. I read him critical with the subliminal insults. I'm not a criminal, no more understand that talk. So I can think of the language that is still my thoughts. It's giving you, before I catch your soul. Give a sin to you, out the doors I walk, but I'll remember you. Play my heart is so slow, fast, so I got the symbols. Play your heart and trust me, cross like with the winners through. This is what my fault. I'm just going to go cross the tennis shoes. Then I'm sorry, don't floss. They walk around on pigeon toe like I don't know what we want. So they really think more than what they normally cost. Cause I got mine, I hold you weeks for yours to even be born. Normally when this dude, I'm 200 strokes off lost. It's long enough, I gotta tell this landlord that I'm sharp. You know, like this dude, but I didn't even know cause I'm lost. Normally know the truth, but eating from the fork of the false. Just like I said, and do it seem as if the more the sauce I put up in the stew, the more I get, the more to bit off. The more I tend to chew, the more I see myself in the pulse. And bomb the chemicals, cause death is the result of it all. Lord, I repent for you for every single thing that I taught, that I pretend to do, that clearly never showed in my walk. That I resembled you, but hid the truth roles have been taught, so that they can improve, present the news and more can exalt, so they can know the truth. And if I'm there for the truth, spiritually ridiculed, because I carry the cross. It's funny how you people run up to me trying to insult. Accent and parts of gospel music is the volume of hope. You're not confused that I was speaking the gospel long as I walk. And when I'm tired of all my music, nothing else myself. It's not the music therapeutic, about to fix my sauce. And try to judge my Sunday morning in my favorite cups. Human beings in the wild. It's Mars, my king. It's the king, it's my God. It's my God, it's my God. Believe when you don't believe in anything.
What? That was Nick Cannon. No. That ain't Gemstone. Low key sound. I don't listen to Nick. Still the king. I got some lyrics that I wrote down that are all Does anybody have a line or a bar or something from there that you? I need it quick. I don't want you to give them all.
I don't talking about buying the tennis shoes and walking pigeon-toed and not having money to pay the landlord.
Facts.
That was like, wow.
Facts. Gotta stand up.
The one when he talked about 9/11, he was like basically saying like you blame Osama or something. Yeah,
Okay, that's a point. Stand up, sir, if you don't mind. I'm coming here.
Early line where he said something about the NATO summit. There's a new world order and he just signed off on it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was just an earlier line, I think also. I think the line was, you don't mind being soulless because your line's on the top.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like in the middle, he said like, story don't force love, even after all we bought.
Yes, yes indeed. Now I'm gonna come back around to you after you, sir.
Oh, he said, oh, his uncle told him about the murders in Arizona, he was taught something like that.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna come back to that line.
He was stating about how now in the New World Order, everybody wants money and that salvation can be bought.
100%. That's what he said.
He said a line which stated, Lord, I know the truth, eating from the fork of the false.
Okay. And that resonated with you. Okay.
Before he started the music video, he said, plug your ears and listen to your heart.
Okay. Listen with your heart. Yes, sir.
He said, not a criminal. I don't speak that language.
Mm-hmm.
Spiritually manipulated because I carry a cross.
Yes, indeed. You're supposed to stand up. Okay.
I said.
So real quick, right? Because again, we don't have as much time as we did last time, because we gotta get to this food and the raffles. So what I wanted y'all to see from this song, right, is in this song he makes fun of the world and the secular people that put all of the onus, I don't like to talk to right back, so I'm gonna turn around a lot, and the onus on the tennis shoes. He said, I'm going to pay $200, I paid $150 so I can get by these sneakers before they could be bought. But when he get them, he got to walk pigeon-toed because he don't normally walk like that. But he got to show off because he paid them. I mean, because he paid them for 2 weeks. He paid them so he can get them 2 weeks in advance. Now, listen, I'm not gonna lie. I did that before. Because my mind was on something else. But then he got even deeper to the next line when he said, but at the same time, he got to tell the landlord that he's 200 short. He just spent them on his sneakers. And he's 200 short for the landlord. That shows the paradigm that your mind is in, that our minds are in. That videos, music, NBA, whatever it is, can get you into that. I got to get this versus what's actually more important. Now, the other, I think your hand was raised, sir?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
I was gonna say something that like I see a lot in music culture. So, in this record, like this is a song where he's talking about like a lot of deep meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at today's music like this, like when did that song come out?
That came out, that was a remix. I think it came out like the year after they dropped the original joint.
That was like
Okay, alright, so we're gonna say like around 2011, 2012.
Okay.
So that song came out about 7 years ago, and I had never heard that song. And that song has a lot more meaning than the songs that are played now. And what I see is, even Kanye said this on one of his songs. Like, this man was talking about, like, God, and, like, a lot of deep meaning. And Kanye just said himself, like, if he talks about God, like, his record won't get played.
Right.
So this is, like the type of music that, like, we used to be listening to, like, help ourselves. And this is the type of music that you're gonna see people talk about, or like people even like advertise, because it's like, oh, this is too much to listen to, like we're not ready.
Yes, sir.
To piggyback right off of that, I was gonna say that conscious rappers are appreciated because they speak on subject matters like this. Like they speak about things that happen in real life, and nobody wants to hear that. They want to see the best life of the rappers that are living glorious luxury. They want to hear the mumble rappers, trappers, all that. They don't want to hear the real stuff that's going on. That's why, like that's just something I want to do.
Okay.
Conscious rappers don't get enough appreciation because they speak facts.
Now I got 3 more points. Yes, sir.
Remember last week, Will, I brought up the whole topic about we need to talk about brand chasing.
Yes.
Because a lot of this leads right into that. Is somehow we feel it's a status symbol to wear certain things and own certain things that has no real meaning or value.
Right. Basically, what he just said and added on to it was in, I think that the 3rd verse of that song, he basically was exposing how what they want us to believe or want you to look at is putting your energy and your effort in depreciating commodities. That's it. Whatever's going to be depreciating, we want you to spend and work your life for that. Because you're never going to get anything else that appreciates if you spend your early money, your early investments, and that type of stuff. Whatever sneakers, jewelry, whatever. Like we saw the commercial last week when I think Migos said everything was dripping, everything was wet. And it's like, yeah, they're showing it to you, but everything he has on is going to depreciate, and somebody else is going to take later on. That's it. It's pretty much.
And half of it's rented.
Half of it's rented. Half of it's rented. The 3rd thing was, this is one of my favorite lines. Obviously, I was able to write it down because I was prepping for it. He said, the questioning of the stories of the murders in the rap. So basically, he said, in 1993, there will be some murder results. Remember that line? Yeah. So what they do is, and you guys already know this more than me, and he was making a joke in terms of Rick Ross. And this is what we were talking about last week, about living on Guy Brewer. He was basically saying that if Rick Ross was saying all this stuff and doing all this stuff, if this was back in 1993, there would be murder results, as in these things would have happened already. And there would be a paper trail and a police trail. But all they do now is paint for you a facade, paint for you a story that you want to believe, and that's going to make you feel, wow, this guy's hard, this guy's about his whatever. But in reality, they're just doing wordplay or telling somebody else's story. And making them like a hood superhero. But he was saying, listen, if this was 1993, there'd be some actual results. Like, you said you did this? Where's it at? And as you see right now, everybody can say whatever they want. Nobody's fact-checking. Not saying that we condone any type of violence, but you know that somebody's paying them to actually make the story up. Question in the back, sir, or comment?
I just wanted to make a point, because it is a similar point I heard before. I think this was said like by Vince Staples a few years ago. And his point was that in general, like when we look at media or popular culture, like black people in general, they seem to like sell or buy into like black trauma or that glorification of that trauma. So when it comes to things such as in our rap music, where you see people glorifying like this gang culture or this culture of killing and stuff like that, like it's something that has kind of been recycled through all of us in like the last 20, 30 years, and it's something that, as a result, we see it, we ingest it, and then we end up spitting it back to the younger people as well. And it's kind of like a cycle that, it was realistically, it's pretty hard to break out of, and we kind of have to understand why we're in that state we're in, where we see things where we're wondering why, like, our music is so saturated with that type of content. But when you look at it, it's understandable. When you look at like songs, movies, TV shows, etc. There's a lot of things that we as black people see, always but especially when it has to do with us, always seems to do with the trauma that we have faced in this country and in the world for the last 100 years or so.
Now check this out real quick. Good, very good point, sir. I'm gonna show y'all something that we did. I'm gonna try to set up a dynamic, all right? Everybody stand up real quick. All right. Now, what were the phrases that I wanted y'all to remember from last week?
History is present.
Okay, now what did you say before that? BHMC. And then what?
History is present within me.
Okay, now let's say it like we knew it. Okay, so we'll start off with, when I ask you, what is this? Say BHMC, Black History Month Challenge. I'm gonna say, why is it important? And you'll say, because history is present within me. All right? So what is this?
BHMC, Black History Month Challenge.
Why is it important?
Because history is present within me.
Copy. Wonderful. Now have a seat. Check this out. Now we just said that, right? Yeah. Now we're gonna say it again next time a little stronger. Like, you know, like there's a minute here. So, little man, if you don't mind me coming here, sir, I should say little man. What's your name, sir? Chase. Now this is the last point I'll make. I want to bring Chase out here because we just said a phrase where history is present within me and it being Black History Month Challenge, right? So, one line in there, the last line was, he said, I'm not a criminal, nor do I understand that talk. He said, why are you speaking to me in a language that's going to distort my thoughts? So that right there is real powerful to me. Because when you're young, and all I'm talking right here is about moving weight, it's about playing the safety on the corner, looking at traffic, watching out for the blitz. And I'm talking to you about how to move when it's dark, looking for the jakes. When I'm telling you, yo, bro, make sure you got nothing in your pockets, keep it tucked in your waist. When I'm telling you all of that, now all of a sudden he's understanding that. He's understanding that. Because I did. I was brought up in church. I understood exactly what it was when dudes was moving weight out here. I knew exactly when they were taking football plays, they put it to the corner. You playing strong safety. I'm watching everything happen in front of me. I'm on the corner, watching everything happen in front of me, and I'm strong safety. So if something comes through, I get them. That's football talk. You blitzing somebody, I know exactly what it is. If you got a little something extra in your pocket, I know what you're talking about. If you got cocaine, you got the white girl, I know exactly what that is. I was brought up in church. There was no reason for me to understand that. But I knew what Pac was. I knew Big was. I knew Jay-Z was. I knew Wayne when he was still with the his original group with Baby. I knew all of that, and I was this kid right here. I was this kid right here telling him everything he's supposed to do. So now, when you hear that verse and it says, "Why are you talking to me in a language that's going to distort my thoughts?" Because that whatever was this, yo, bro, Roth IRA, invest that bread. Yo, get that early investment, bro. Yo, understand how it is when you get out on the street, 16, have your own business, bro.
Blockchain, you heard?
Yo, what if I'm telling him this? He understands that. His whole mindset has changed. He's looking for opportunity. He's looking for how he's going to move. What's his next move going to be? And then the last part of that verse is that when he said, why are you talking to me in a language that will distort my thoughts? And he said, to he who's kin to you. To he who's kin to you. So, like, forget the fact that you're talking to me in a language that's going to screw me up. Yo, I'm your kin, bro. So you're really perpetuating how this thing is going to work out for me. Because I'm your boy, I'm your man, I'm your son, your cousin, whatever it is, and you're teaching me this new language which is going to show me how to think, and then I'm your fan. So that's why, that was one of the lines in there that really resonated with me, is because that's why we're here. That's why your principal has you. That's why you got these men that are here that are literally trying to elevate some people's thoughts, and for others that are still in that mindset, trying to derail it. We're trying to derail it. That's why I'm here. That's why my parents say cooking food for you. That's why we got pizzas here. Because we're doing everything possible. So nobody can say, yo, nobody cares about me. Nobody put the time in.
Hey, Will.
Yes, sir.
So when the kid goes back to the hood, what is he supposed to do?
Well, first of all, thank you for helping me and interrupting me, because I was getting a little welled up just now. And I'm light skinned, so you can see where I was doing my cheeks sort of real low. That was clutch. So when the kid comes back to the hood, obviously he's got to start making his way. I mean, obviously you're not going to jump in back to what you were doing before, but you have to start giving the knowledge that you got from here. From here, like, forget about going to college. Obviously, you can go to college, but I'm talking about daily, what you guys learn from here. You go back, like, you all know stuff. You all know how to be men. You all come in there, you all know the answers. You all know the answers. You all know how to act and everything. So I'm saying if you don't know that, you flesh it out there, because somebody's going to look at you like, yo, this dude's walking different. He's acting a little different. So you bring what you learned here, the new statutes that the gentlemen here, that the men here give you, and you walk that out in your household first, and then in your block, because you're going to attract, black men attract other men that actually are doing the right thing. If I see somebody doing the right thing, that's attractive. This guy right here, he comes to my church, I got dudes asking him, they don't even know him until the last few days he came. Like, yo, who is that dude? The way he speaks, the way he commands a room, they're like, yo, who is that? They're like, my little ones. The young ones are like, yo, who is this dude? Why? Because he holds himself a different way. Because I tell you, this is the last thing I'll say before I'm done, we get into everything else, is my friend, he moved to California. And he was a janitor. He was doing some janitorial work, getting good money while he was trying to get his degree. And he was in the elevator. He's in the elevator. Who else is in the elevator in a hospital? Who do you think? Nurse, okay. Anybody? Doctor, surgeons, managers, right? So he gets in there. He's making good money, but he gets in the elevator, presses the door, chin down, because there's a bunch of doctors around. I said, bro, this is something I used to do in the fire department. I said, pick your chin up a little bit higher. This is degrees here. A little bit higher than the person who has their chin the highest around you. See what happens. I said, all right. So that was Sunday. So Monday he goes in there, and he goes in the elevator, same thing. And he looks for the person who has his chin, wherever the angle is, 45, 90, and he goes a little bit higher. he puts it up here. Immediately, he doesn't get to he has like his own office. He calls me, yo, son, that joint was crazy. He goes, I put my chin up, everybody's looking at me like, yo, who's this dude? I was making people uncomfortable because they're used to seeing your demeanor in a submissive one, chin down. When you have your chin up, A, it means that you're on the same level as everybody else, and B, if your chin is a little higher, people have to look at you now. Because remember, eye contact is right here. If I have my head up a little bit, now you got to look up a little bit to try to make eye contact with me. And communication is eye contact. So when you hold yourself differently, your demeanor changes, you command respect. So that's what we're here trying to do. Give you guys information about yourself and your history, number one. Obviously in the school, we want you to do good in your grades, number two. But then I want you to flesh it out in your community. Chin up, chest out, walk like this and see what happens. So looking at you, they want to see what you know, and they want to understand why in the world are you walking around like this, which is exactly what he did when he came to my church. And exactly why guys are asking me, who is Mark and what is he into? And immediately after the second time, he has guys coming up to me, hey, what's up, Mark? Hey, how you doing? Because of the way he held himself, and he's a product of here. He's a product of here. So that's all I got for you guys today. Again, I appreciate every single minute I'm here with you guys. I'm a firefighter. I come here on my off time. I move my time out the way to get here because I care about you guys just as much as these gentlemen, the teachers, the principals, and the volunteers that come in and care about you. So it's been another great Black History Month, man. And hopefully I can see you guys again before then, but I appreciate being here, all right? The last thing we're going to do, sir? Yeah, there's something on there. Is that me? That's not me, right?
No. Symbolic what you were saying in terms of the subliminal message.
Okay. You want to start that while I do this, or?
You want to do that first?
I have something else I wanted them to listen to too. Why don't I do? You want me to do mine first? You want to end with that?
Either way, doesn't matter.
I can play it off here. Let me see if I can hear it. If you guys can hear it. All right. So just going along with some of the what Mr. West was talking about with hip hop. I know I shared this with you guys on the chat. All right. There are a couple curses. Is that all right to play with this guy around? Is that all right? All right. All right. So I apologize. He does say the N word one time as well. All right. But this is a guy, Talam Ace. Anyone ever do spoken word poetry? Couple guys, all right, spoken word. If you ever never saw it, Def Poetry Jam back in the day, yes. Russell Simmons used to run it. It came after Def Comedy Jam, all right, and was something was on HBO on Friday nights, and something I used to watch religiously. But it was like an it was like anyone ever listen to Mos Def or Talami? Not Talami, Talib Kweli. All right, it was kind of on that track of that intelligent hip hop. Piece, all right? So listen up. This guy's name is Talam Ace, one of the best lyricists I've ever heard in person. But this one is called When the Smoke Clears. Let me know if you can hear this. If not, I'll put it on the TV. Can you guys hear it?
Put on the speaker. You got Bluetooth? We have a speaker here.
You got a speaker?
Yeah, Bluetooth speaker up there. Yeah.
Drawing.
Just put on your Bluetooth and it'll find it.
What is it, Bode?
Yeah.
Can you disconnect? Yeah.
Okay, or you.
All right, and he wrote this back in like 2000. All right, so he was talking about the state of hip hop back in 2000, coming out of the 90s. All right, to give you some context.
Sometimes I believe some of these MCs sit down and consciously try to figure out how to get more young black men shot. How to deliver more young black souls into the hands of the cops. I mean, for them, it's showing about moving CDs out of one-stops or record shops, even if that means convincing them young brothers to do whatever they have to do in order to get the things that these MCs videos say they cop the choke they ain't got. So how many more need to be pork chop lifting out of the Versace shop before we realize that they are not that successful? And when Gil Scott Heron dropped Message to the Messenger, I really hope that they would listen. But I tell you, when the smoke clears, then MCs going to be all ears. When the smoke clears, MCs are going to be all ears. When the smoke clears, then MCs going to want to hear while BET don't seem to be able to see as well as Univision. 99% of the time, flipping the worst parts of capitalism through record company hoes, platinum coated egos, putting out bullshit lyrics, type of marketed to supersede those revolutionary mantras of yesteryear. Sisi watu, we usi watu wazuri, pamoja tutashinda, pamoja tutashinda. We are black, beautiful people. Together we will win. Together we will win. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, MCs are going from record cells to prison cells. From standing outside of strip bars to stripping behind bars. Being stripped of their clothes, jewelry, and cars. Ass out, holding their jaws. Ass out, holding their scars. Ass out, holding their jaws while record execs continue to puff on $50 cigars. Looking at pop charts, trying to figure out how they're going to make the next self-deprecating black star. And because there's so much apathy in the ghetto, they don't have to look far. And since talent is no longer necessary, no matter where they look, there they are. Thinking that hip-hop is ever going to return to the high lyrical content of the late 80s is absurd. Cats no longer want to follow the leader. Now they want to follow nigger killers and black woman beaters. And since no one forces us to watch BET, and since no one forces us to buy them garbage ass CDs, and since no one forces us to support them no talent having petty thieves, I guess we simply get what we deserve. Because if we really wanted to elevate ourselves through lyrical content in the new millennium, we would just listen to spoken word.
We can break that down another time. I know we're on a time schedule. All right, but a lot of that content still holds true today in the way the music is produced, the way they try to hook you with the images, and the guys that have all this bling, and the guys with the girls and the cars and everything else. When a lot of that is just made up and fictional. All right, and they have to put on that persona in order to sell records and in order to get these guys to buy in. But really, they're just doing it for themselves to get that money and get paid. Right? Meanwhile, they're encouraging all the young people to emulate what it is that they're seeing in these images. All right, so we'll break down that another time. But it is a very, you guys, I'll share it with you in the chat again if you want to take another listen. And we can talk. Anybody know who Gil Scott-Heron is? That's first all you need to go find Message to the Messenger by Gil Scott-Heron. And then also, anybody know what Follow the Leader is a reference to? What hip-hop song? Eric B. and Rakim. Anybody know who Eric B. and Rakim are? Yeah. All right, if you're a hip-hop head, you better know who Eric B. and Rakim are. All right, so you need to, those are a couple things that we'll break down another time.
Let me ask you a question. How many of y'all watch reality shows? Raise your hand. Just wash your hand. It's okay. All right. Just this past Monday, I had the pleasure of being able to sit in on a seminar that we're trying to, in the film industry, is trying to change reality shows. And the whole context of reality shows. Why is that? Because reality shows right now on VH1, BET, MTV, some of the other channels that's out there is depicting black and brown people in a negative manner. Everybody understand that? Right. Do you agree?
Yes.
Well, I want you to take a moment. I want you to think about one thing. Can you name one reality show that depicts the Jewish culture in a negative light?
Well, the Osbournes do All in the Family.
No, a reality show that's on now that depicts the Jewish culture in a negative light. There's not one, is it? Why?
Because they don't want to run reality.
All the heck is Hollywood and
Jews.
No. I can't hear you, man.
Stand up, stand up.
Nobody wants to watch Jewish people. Okay.
I think ever since like 9/11 and the terrorist attack and such, people are scared of people like Jewish people and.
Listen up, listen up.
Jewish people, at least the Jewish people I know, are raised to be very proud of their culture and stand up for their culture all the time. So while black people are much, I guess they're more, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, they're less tolerant about people disrespecting their culture. Jewish people, like, they'll sue you. Like, they'll come for you. Yeah.
That is 100% the reason. They will not allow a television show to degrade their culture. They will not allow it. That's why you will not see it. Ever. And I want you to think about that, what he just said. As black and brown people, we condone it and we allow it, and it's good for us. Think about that for a moment as a culture of people. So that's why now it's a group of us working at trying to change around this whole genre called reality shows. Because if we don't change it, it's only going to keep doing what it's doing, subliminally hurting us. When you have black and brown females that gets on a show and it's supposed to be lit, and it's a IG star and all of that, and the only thing they're doing is negative things and tearing one another down, what you think that does for the women around you? Some of them aspire to be them. Some of them want to be the next Cardi B. Think about it, but it's real. So we have to start changing, but also we got to understand the message that's being put inside of us is a part of the problem.
Can I say something? Yes. This is going back, I guess, maybe 20 years ago. I participated in a march. I used to take photographs and recreate them into actual paintings, right? And most of my photographs or my paintings all dealt with a lot of political action kind of situations. So about 20, 25 years ago, Al Sharpton came against Time Warner because Time Warner had a number of Jews that paid rappers to put profanity in their contract. They would not get a contract unless they had to agree to use profanity in the contract in the rap. So there are a lot of ways that that we get both brainwashed, we get subtleties happen our way. I mean, a number of things that we need to also look at is not just making the money, but then get behind become the people that make it and help others to produce what is good. You follow what I'm saying? Make the money and make the money work. That's it.
All right, guys, so we're going to do our raffle. Tickets out. Get your tickets out. All your tickets, man. Get your tickets out. All your tickets. Question. Who here has their homework? One. Just came in. Two. I gave you a card that you went home and you wrote an additional 4 points. Oh, yeah, I got them. Oh, so you have all of your tickets. All of your All right, get all your tickets out. And those who have the homework? Homework? All right, just bring it up. You got a homework, bring it up. Listen, I gotta talk about the card. Okay, that's fine. You know, we're on the budget, so. My name's Ron. All right, you sound like homework. Remember when we gave you a card and you write down You're good, bro. Okay, you did it that way? All right. So, everybody that did a homework, come get a ticket, please. I got you. Yeah. Which one you get the ticket, all right? 1, 2, 3. Who else did one? Who's the last person that did one? Jerron. Where's Jerron? 4. Okay. So, because I want to show the value, first of all, everybody give yourself a round of applause. You guys were great. As usual, you guys were inspiration to me. And I gave out a homework, and everybody had it. 4 guys wrote it back, so I just want to do a little something special for them, because it's about, you know, being a man, and they exemplified that. So, yeah. Right there, sir. Okay.
That's not bad, though.
Yeah, right? Okay.
Dr. Bethel.
All right, so it was going to be 50-50. So I'm going to give you Mr. Doherty, he's going to pull one. So you guys are basically going to be able to come and get the pick or whatever you want, because you guys did the homework. So 2 of you are. It's going to be 2 out of the 5, all right?
And listen, but I have a captive audience because I'm going to have to run to get my kids. I have the new permission slip for DC. All right, we got the go-ahead. It may even be cheaper than $45. All right, I may be able to transfer some money around from a grant I got in order to even make it cheaper or to add a second bus. All right, if I can add a second bus and keep it at the 45, then we'll try to get more guys on the trip. It's April 18th, the first day of spring break. So we get out our last day of school is Wednesday. April 18th is Thursday, so it's our first day on spring break. We'll be waking up early to go down to DC, all right, and have a good time. So if you didn't get a permission slip, if you gave me a permission slip for the last one, I still need a new one because it has a new date. So I need permission from your parents that you have permission to go on April 18th, not the January date. Everybody good with that? So before you leave, make sure you grab one if you didn't get one already. 7 a.m. Yeah, the bus pulls out at 7 for that.
All right, Mr. Doherty, pull one from the homework.
Tickets.
What, guys?
Our numbers are 109 013. Samaru, Ryan.
Whichever way you want. Better than it's good. You got it. picked these up today. I don't know why. I guess I was a little rough with them in the way here because I told them that the plastic cracked, but they're brand new. They didn't fall off the truck or anything like that. Although it looked like they did. So here's the second one.
When it's too cold, the plastic cracks.
That's it. So it's a Bluetooth speaker. What's up? Mr. Raymond, she's gonna pick the next one. Wait, did I pick a number? That's for the homework? All right, last one for the homework is 109016. 109016. I gave my mom the first one, so I gotta get another. Okay, so everybody get your tickets out. Everybody get your tickets out. I'm gonna go through this quick. I only won one last year. I'll never forget the day. I'm gonna tell you a story. Last year I was sitting right here. Nobody asked me. I'll tell you, nobody asked me. Take it
These tickets, like, we could choose. Wait, what was
Good question. I guess the answer is yes. All right, One, 8, 3, 2, 8. Hey, let's go. Eight, 1, 8, 5, 1, 6. Come on. Come on.